Oregon football just got a massive gift. Let's talk about it. My name's Paul, together with my buddy Aaron. We are the Big Ten guys. Tune in every day for the latest Big Ten news, insights, and analysis. If you're a fan of Oregon or any Big Ten football team, don't miss out. All you got to do is subscribe, like, and maybe even get some alerts on it. So we're going to have a lot more Oregon content coming. I think we're going to be talking about this team all the way into January. And then before I get going into this news that I think is going to really swing things in Oregon's favor, do me a solid, comment below. What's going to happen this weekend? Huge game against Iowa, playoff implications on the line for both teams. Aaron and I, we always like just chatting about these big games with you guys. So give me your predictions, your takes. Who's going to have a big game? What matchups do you like? Let us know in the comments so we can talk it out. Now, getting into this big news, I feel like last year Oregon, they were the team that had the target on their back. They finished the year number one team in the country, undefeated, Big Ten champions, first round byes, number one seed in the college football playoffs. Everybody was gunning for Oregon. But fast forward to a year later, I think this team is every bit as good. Yet all of a sudden, they're the team who's kind of getting slighted, and we're continuing to see that more and more. Just today, Kirk Herbstreit came on and said, I think Oregon is going to lose to Iowa this week. And it's not just guys like Kirk Herbstreit saying that. Like, that's not the only disrespect the program's getting right now. These new college football playoff rankings were incredibly disrespectful to Oregon, whose only loss is to, in my opinion, the best team in the entire country. So they were given extreme disrespect with that number 9 ranking. Don't even get me started on how overrated some of these SEC teams are, but regardless, we're not getting into that right now. But I actually think as a whole, these rankings were a gift to Oregon. Because you look at their schedule, not only is it a gift, like I think Oregon getting slighted in those first polls is good for the team. Like, what is it? Nick Saban always used to call positive press rat poison. Dan Lanning, I loved what he said after the polls came out. Like, we just got to win. Like, everything is in front of them. If they win, everything's going to take care of themselves. But looking at this schedule, the fact that Iowa, USC, and Washington were all put in the polls is huge. USC has been in the AP polls, but Iowa and Washington have not. But now, all of a sudden, the Big Ten gets some respect from the College Football Playoff Committee. I love that because they've been disrespected by the AP polls all year round because of ESPN and their SEC bias. Strike 2 against me. I'm not going to get into that. But now, all of a sudden, Oregon has 3 ranked teams on their schedule to finish off the year. And I think potentially if they lost a game like this to Iowa and go 10-2 and finish with back-to-back ranked wins, I mean, Iowa would probably be top 10 if they won this game. All of a sudden, I think this is still a playoff team. Whereas if these are unranked teams, I'm not sure that that's the case. So I think it's big to see 3 ranked teams on the schedule to finish the year. That was a gift for Oregon from the college football playoff. But more than anything, I just think this disrespect both in the rankings and with big names like Kirk Herbstreit coming out here saying they think Oregon's going to lose to Iowa. People are saying, oh, Oregon, their only big win is against Penn State, but Northwestern and UCLA beat them, so is Oregon even good? I think they are completely wrong about Oregon, and they're going to be coming into this game and every game the rest of the season and in the playoffs with a massive chip on their shoulder. And if you want to know what this Oregon team looks like when they have a chip on their shoulder, look no further than this Oklahoma State game where Mike Gundy called out Oregon before the game and their NIL and, lit a fire underneath this team and got absolutely shellacked. And I think Mike Gundy got fired after the game or maybe a week or two later. This team plays better when they have a chip on their shoulder. I think most teams do, but just coming in like that as the team that's overlooked and underappreciated rather than the number one team that everyone's gunning for, I think will make this a completely different playoffs than last season. And then specifically talking about the Iowa game this weekend, it's a tough one. I don't know if Oregon has played in Kinnick yet. I don't think they have unless they've done it non-conference. Let me tell you, it is a brutal place to play. Like, I don't know if some people say it's the pink locker rooms. They paint the opposing locker rooms pink to try to make them feel soft coming into the game. I don't know that really works, but the crowd's always rocking. You got the wave to the Children's Museum, which is awesome. But I think it's just one of those environments where, like, they don't have 100,000 people like Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State. But they're more similar to an Oregon, where it's like, yeah, the stadium is a little bit smaller than those, but the way it's constructed and the way the crowd gets into it, it is a tough place to play. I am a Michigan fan. I've seen a top 3 Michigan team lose to an unranked Iowa team in Kinnick. It happens. It's tough. But Oregon's done that. Like, whatever, I don't know what to make of Penn State at the end of the year, because I really think they were a playoff team that just fell apart when Oregon beat them and never recovered. But regardless of what your opinion of them was, that was an incredibly hostile environment. One of the toughest, I would say, night game whiteouts at Happy Valley are the toughest environment in college football. I know Oregon fans, you're going to tell me that you guys have the toughest environment. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'd love to get to a game there sometime and decide for myself. But I think Penn State is at least top 3. Oregon went in there. They were poised. They played well. They weren't rattled by the environment, and they got the W. They know how to play in a hostile environment. And I think they have the team to win this game. I'm picking Oregon this week. I think with the chip on their shoulder and just the way that they have proven they can play in the big games is, I think it's going to be enough. And then, like, you look at defensively, this is the number 1 pass defense in the Big Ten, even above Nebraska, who's been amazing this year, and Ohio State, who has like a historically good defense. Oregon has a better pass defense than even them, and Iowa struggles to pass the football already. Like, I think Oregon is going to just completely shut down Iowa and make them one-dimensional. And then, Iowa runs the ball decently, but if Oregon can, especially if they get an early lead and try to force them to pass, I really like them to make Iowa one-dimensional. And then, Oregon is pretty good defending the ground game as well, especially if they know, like, that's their main focus in this game. I think they're going to defend it well. And then I think Dante Moore is good enough to make the right throws and get the team down the field. He's got to, like, the big thing with Iowa is you cannot turn the ball over. Like, Iowa is completely content punting the ball every single down the entire game, like every single drive the entire game. They'll do it. But they're going to try to pin you deep and safety you. They always have a ridiculously good punter for some reason. They're going to try to score on special teams, and they're going to try to take away the football and start drives in positive plus field position. So, or like Dante Moore in Oregon, they got to just be content. Like, you know what? I'm just going to take the safe 4-yard play here, and we're just going to chip away and move the ball. Because the biggest mistake teams make is trying to force things against this Iowa defense. And then take it from a Michigan fan. I was actually at the Big Ten Championship when Michigan beat Iowa, just whooped on them. I think one of the other big things, too, is throw a trick play or two in there. I remember Michigan had a big halfback pass in that game that went for a touchdown. Like, this Iowa team, they're so disciplined. They're so fast. They're so, like, they, like, fly to the ball so well that sometimes you can really beat them with one of those trick plays over the top. And it, this is like, Iowa's not going to score a lot of points in this game. This is not a great offense, especially against a high-quality defense like Oregon. So, I mean, if they can put a touchdown or two on the board early, it's going to be game over. I think Oregon's going to be able to hang on. So that's going to be the big key. You guys let me know, what do you think? Who's going to win? What's the big storylines? We always enjoy talking football with you guys. And then don't forget, just like and subscribe on the way out.